basketball. A lot of downs, not really a lot of ups, so we'll get into it. First of all, how you guys doing today?
I guess I can start us off. Well, this is our first time doing our stream on this playoff channel. That's something I'm really excited about. So thank you to everyone who's showing up, and thank you to everyone who's trickling in right now. But as Earl said, there's a lot of downs this week. But that's okay because we're gonna do our best to keep the vibes as up as possible. We got some tier listing coming up. We got some analysis coming up. If you're in chat, but if you're in chat, say whatever you want. I see Caden's in here saying would say good afternoon, but it's not. I'm sorry. But thank y'all for sticking along even during the lows of this Laker team.
We're working through it. I was at the Lakers Nuggets game last night. I told you guys. Wasn't fun. Wasn't pretty. It was actually really bad. It was kind of like the worst game I've been to. And honestly, like I have a running gimmick on Twitter like that I was 16-0 at Laker games, which there's no way that was true. But in reality, I was like 14-1 or 15-1. Like I had only seen one loss in my life, and it was in 2017 when we were tanking right after Kobe. I went to a game that we lost. Besides that, every game I've seen is a win the last years in person until last night because we played the Nuggets. And of course, I went to that one. And yeah, it was not fun in the second half. It was really depressing and honestly reminiscent of a lot of other Laker Nuggets games, except for it was a blowout instead of us coming back at the end and then still losing. But anyway, I know a few of us are sick here. I'm pretty sick, but I'm going to do my best. Got the camera off today, but I'm chilling, ready to talk about the Lakers. So we got a flu game for like three of us in this chat right now.
Yeah. So let's just hop into it. We had 3 games this week. I mean, at least let's start with a positive. First game we did play was on Tuesday, November 19th. We played the Utah Jazz. Once again, we are still undefeated in the in-season tournament. I mean, this game pretty much spoke for itself. This was a game where LeBron had 26, AD had 26, but most importantly, Dalton Knecht erupted for 37 points, which was really impressive. So, before we get into the bad, how did you guys feel about this game overall? I know a lot of this focus is obviously on Dalton Knecht, and his impact throughout Rui Hachimura's injury.
Yeah, I can definitely start here. There's gonna be a lot of negative later, so it's a good thing that we're starting positive. Undefeated, not only in this year's in-season tournament, but last year's in-season tournament as well. So we're just continuing that unbeaten streak. That's really good. It is no doubt that the Jazz is one of the weaker teams in this league, and that's something we'll definitely talk about in the future in regards to our actual form. But nonetheless, I think we showed a lot of great basketball in this game. I think it was nice seeing obviously Braun and AD had really strong games in to each their own, but to see Dalton Knecht emerge as like a next level player, especially in like was this it was that this was I think his like not his first start ever, but his first start in direct relation to Rui's injury, I believe. So to see him not only emerge into that role but exceed expectations like this, I think is extremely impressive. I think his shooting game, he's definitely one of the purest shooters on our teams right now. And I think that's something that we've been needing on our team for a very long time. And obviously things aren't super high right now with the Lakers in general, but like just to start off positive, I am really happy for Dalton Knecht this week and especially on this Jazz game to see that people are starting to trust in him more. And I just hope he can continue to capitalize off that.
Yeah, I know there's gonna be a lot of negativity and it's fair, but I mean if you asked us 2 games ago when we were on a 5 or 6 game win streak or whatever it was, then everyone would have been really happy. The reason I bring that up, that feels so obvious, is because Lakers fans do take it to the extreme so much. Like 2 games that were really bad for 2 different reasons. Like we blew the Orlando game, we got destroyed last night, but like we don't have to be that negative because then you you can go on another 4 game win streak out of nowhere. I mean, to start the season, we were 3-0 against 3 good teams. No one expected that. I just don't like that it is this roller coaster ride with the Lakers, and that's what you get when you don't have I guess, a proven, contending roster, I'll say. Like our roster is not good enough to consistently do anything, but it shows flashes at times. So we'll see what happens. I like that we are going in order. I don't have anything to add to Alex's like point about the Dalton Connect game and stuff. Like that was great. Alan, if you have anything for that game, go ahead. And then after that, I'm sure we could go to, the other 2 losses.
Yeah, like you mentioned, great Dalton game, and just excited to see him progress. I do feel like these past 2 games, at least from him himself, he has sort of, not gonna say declined, but he hasn't had the same confidence. He hasn't had the same shooting rhythm. Now, I won't be too concerned, but I think that's something that he's going to evolve and at least learn slash adjust, just because there going to be situations where he is going to be in the starting lineup, going to be off the bench, as JJ Redick mentioned, at least prior to the Denver Nuggets game. He's going to try to find ways to both start Rui, but also at the same time find optimal minutes for Dalton Knecht to be with the starters or be with LeBron and AD.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall that game, I mean, we were all pretty much in here watching it. That was one of the most exciting games. I know it was versus the Jazz, but just seeing him take heat check after heat check, hitting 6 threes, I think, in that quarter, didn't miss a single field goal in that quarter. It was just impressive. Like not a lot of rookies have that pose. Well, except for one other rookie who's been balling out. Shout out to Jared McCain. But yeah, I agree. I think his confidence wavered a little bit in these last couple games. Understandable. I'm not expecting him to go out there and average 37 like you said, but I would like to see him still have that same confidence. We see it here and there, but he is a really good heat check shot maker. But moving on, Jake did have a really good point about how drastic these 2 different wins were. I mean, 2 different losses coming up were. Let's start with the Magic, man. In a story where there is no Paulo Banchero, KCP is out as well on injury. We kinda just I don't even wanna say play with our food. We just didn't do a good job of closing out on our friends Wagner, and we couldn't hit a free throw to save our life in the clutch. So, what's you guys' thoughts on the Magic loss before we break down, obviously, our drought with the Nuggets?
Um, I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about with just this Magic loss alone. One of the things I'm gonna touch on first, and we can keep going back and forth on this topic because again, there's a lot. Is I kept saying how low our defensive ceiling is right now in terms of just like what we're capable of doing. And like I understand that there's improvements that JJ can make on his defensive tactics. I understand that there's things that can be improved there, but at the same time, oh, it's just that a lot of our players are just full liabilities on defense. There's 3 that I named a lot. It was unfortunately Dalton Connect, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui all feel like just full defensive liabilities, like constantly where it's just like they don't seem to have a strong foundation for defense at all. And I think that's something that's highly concerning because all 3 of these players are very relevant to our rotation. And I feel like if you go into the next level, folks, where it's just like Austin Reeves, def- decent at defense because he puts in the effort, but like clearly not like at a high enough level. And then like LeBron, who is like a smart tactical player, but like he doesn't always put in the effort. He complains to the ref a lot more. He's really poor in tracking back. And then like even if you go into the next level, we have a lot of like terrible to not great defenders. And I think paired up with the fact that a lot of our like decent defenders are really weak on the offense, we have a lot of one-dimensional players on our team. And I feel like this is kind of something that we've been calling on for the entirety of this past season, maybe even a couple seasons ago. We were talking about how one-dimensional our players are. Shout out to Mal for being here too. But I think it just goes to show that yes, it goes back to our preseason conversation where it's like, yes, the coaching did change a lot, but it wasn't going to fix everything. There's a lot of fundamental issues with the roster that hopefully get addressed, whether we wait for before that December 15th deadline or after. I'm hoping for the before, though.
Alan, you could go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to Mal. Of course, yeah. Like I said, we'll go into some slandering later, like the tier list. But yeah, like you guys mentioned about the Magic game and that leads the Lakers eventually. I feel like that Magic game sort of was a trickle point into that Denver Nuggets game, man. I point to like key players in like a Mo Wagner and a shout out to Gogo Beyonce, and those guys played tough as both centers. Like them combined, in my opinion, outplayed Anthony Davis. So I think Davis had a great game, but like those two big men for the Orlando Magic played absolutely great, and what allowed them to later have a Nikola Jokic to have a very good game as well. And ultimately, of course, Anthony Davis was bad. So it's just like that sort of like I said, was a trickle point, them rebounding, them hustling, and those are the centers that we need. And that's why, at least like say, we don't have those centers. And Anthony Davis, when he doesn't have those guys and he has to play in Nikola Jokic, who is a solid all around player, and of course said is gonna body him, it's gonna be a formula for failure. So just like I said, this Orlando Magic team was sort of like the precursor to that Denver Nuggets game, in my opinion. And like I said, shout out to Franz Wagner who made that amazing 3 pointer. It was very much a tough shot. Of course, Cadmarsh gave him some space, and which he shouldn't have. But overall, I just feel it wasn't just Franz; it was a collective unit in that game. And it trickled down to that Denver Nuggets game where that unit of Denver, Russell Westbrook, etc. Uh, provide, provide energy and helped us or help them beat the Lakers dominantly.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep it on topic. Shout out Caden for updating us in the chat. I don't know who they even like who were they even playing? I don't even know. Does anyone know who the Wolves were playing? Oh, Celtics.
Celtics.
Oh, so you're okay. So that helps the Lakers. Okay, I got it. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna, like I said, trying to keep it on topic with that Magic game because my thoughts just tend to go to like what the game was the night before, especially because I was there this time and it was so bad. But with the Magic game, like when I see Franz get 37, I don't know if I think it was about 37. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm like I don't want to walk away from that game and see on online all the fans are saying, "Yeah, if we did a better job covering Franz, then we would have won." Like, not really, because like Lamelo Ball had 50 against the Bucks last night. Like in the NBA, people who are really good, who are the best player on the team. By the way, Franz is the best player on the team, no doubt. When Paolo isn't there, he was injured against us. When you're the best player on the team, in the NBA, you probably have a chance to get 40 or 50. But if you shut down everyone else the way that you should, and your offense looks good the way that it should, you're gonna be fine. And it sucks because it feels so simple, but it's like if you made some of those free throws, even one or two more, it's just game. And I think like for a lot, you could overcomplicate it and say we could have done this or that, whatever. If we made the free throws, especially like Reeves missing two feels rare. AD missing 3 or 4 in the clutch is very rare in my opinion. Like that was it. That was game. And winning a close game by, let's say we won by 4 against the Magic, even though they had injuries, not that bad. That wouldn't be that bad to me. I enjoyed the game until literally like the last 2 minutes where we were missing free throws. I thought we were doing decent. Um, the Nuggets game revealed a lot more, but the Lakers are mentally sometimes a little bit soft of a team. And when they took the hit that was that Franz Wagner shot, not only did they look discombobulated on our final play of that game, but they carried that energy into the next game. And it almost is, when we talk about that next game, I feel like I should give a precursor right now that, like, from being there from the first half, like the first half looks okay. It's not ideal, but like it's pretty good for this roster. And then the something happens at halftime against the Nuggets team where we look like a completely different team in the second half. And also I need to like be a man and stand on business and say, like, Russell Westbrook, I'm sorry for talking shit last night and yesterday on Twitter and all that because you killed us. I still think you were a horrible, horrible basketball player on the Lakers when you were on the Lakers. I like what you do for the city of LA, though. So that's cool. I mean, I'm sure you're a family man. He's probably a great dad. I would bet a lot of money. He's probably a good friend. Horrible, horrible basketball player on the Lakers. Like, horrible. Like, his attitude on the Lakers was the most fucked up thing. If he played with the energy he gives the Nuggets on the Lakers, things would have been a lot different. If he knew how to accept his role back then on the Lakers, things would have been a lot different. And thank you, Russ, for changing your energy on the Clippers and Nuggets, but being unable to do that in 2 seasons on the Lakers and making an enemy out of your hometown. So, sorry, I got distracted there. I really hate that dude as a basketball player, but he killed us last night. I was there. He killed us in every way. He killed us, except for shooting threes. He was 1 of 4. I wish he shot more. That rhymed. And now Russ is out the door.
Hey, good wise words by Jake. That was clean. I'll say this. I think the Magic game. Look, I'll be honest. I do get a little bit optimistic at times, which is kind of my role here. But there's also a healthy balance when we come on the Quest for podcast where I have to be real. Lakers team versus Magic, we're just lazy. Same with the Nuggets game. We play lazy basketball, especially on the defensive end. I think one of the biggest things Jake pointed out is just it wasn't just friends. Magic played a great team game. Like looking at the stats, they had
Alan
31 team
said that
assists.
more than me, too. I just want to give him
Yeah,
credit.
and shout out to Allen as well for sure. But yeah, they had 31 team assists to our 21. They had, if we're talking about rebounds, they had 15 offensive rebounds. Although I don't know what the points were off of those second chance points, but 15 to our 9, 33 to our 27, and just looking at free throws. Yes, we missed a lot of free. This game we shot 65% from the free throw line. They shot 85%. So that was a huge story going into that game. We missed a lot of critical shots in the fourth quarter, which sucks. And I mean, we had guys like Jalen Suggs. He was pretty much getting what he wanted, 23 points. You guys made a good point as well about how Goga and Wagner they kind of combined to have a better game than Anthony Davis. You were cooking with that, bro, because Goga had 15 boards, 7 points, but his offensive help came from Wagner with 19 points. So combined, they did all around outplay Anthony Davis. So it just it sucks. Like it's different if we don't. I agree, our defense is bad. We don't have the best pieces, but I hate to use this line, but a little bit of energy and effort wouldn't kill. Like I made an example last night. I know shout out to Mark. Like we were talking on the stream, and he was talking about how effort doesn't matter when the play still ends up bad, which I do agree to at some extent. But you see a guy like Austin Reeves, who's not a great defender at all, actually going out there trying versus Jamal Murray. He took that hard hit. He fell to the floor. Obviously, it was a blocking foul, whatever. But then we see plays where Rui Hachimura is just looking out of bounds and Jokic just hitting wide open shots like 3 or 4 times in a game. Like your awareness can't be that low or your IQ can't be that low on defense where you're not even trying. There's no excuse for you not to be even in the play remotely. So for me, I think a lot of our problems are just I don't know. I think it's a lot to do with I don't want to use chemistry, but a lot to do with effort on the defensive end. We talked about it a lot. Like guys are just not trying. And we can apply that to LeBron turnovers. I mean, 6 plus a game for the last what 5, 6 games. I forgot who was looking at those stats. I think it was Caden last night. Horrible. Um, can't have that. We're just making bad plays. Yeah, 27th in defensive ranking. That's horrible. Awful. Like I know we're hoping out for Vando and stuff like that, but come on, bro. Even with Vando, there's no way we should our floor shouldn't be 27th. Like that's awful. So yeah, that's one thing I noticed from the Magic game. And obviously as we transition to the Nuggets, it just I have to give my flowers to Russ as well. Like we were talking on the stream. I know a lot of guys talking about he had a bad game. Like I get it. I'm not the biggest fan of Russ either. I know, but credit is when credit is earned, then respect is due. So I'll give my respect to Russell Westbrook. He outplayed. When we talk about hustle, he had multiple putbacks. He was on the glass, crashing out versus our bigs. He was grabbing every extra rebound. He came in the play. He came in the game as a playmaker. He finished with 11 assists. But we were talking on stream like it would just happen naturally. Like he was hitting guys in the right spot. Immediately when we checked in, we were talking about how Jokic was kind of slow to start the game. Immediately he checks in, he gets the ball to Jokic, he takes a three, hits a three. Impact just like that. So I got to give my flowers to Russell Westbrook. He showed up, he showed out, and he outperformed D'Angelo Russell at that as well. So I can't really say nothing bad about Russ, except for like Jay said. I'll use my own line here. I'm sure he's a great husband, brother, son, cousin, anything like that. Uncle, maybe. I don't know what his whole family situation is like. But on the Lakers, he just was not a fit, bro. The vibes were not there on the court, off the court, press conference. Only thing, like you said, he was really good in the community. But other than that, just was not a great fit. And it really wasn't his fault because he didn't ask to get traded to us in the first place. But still, it was a horrible
Disagreed.
experience. Yeah.
Disagreed with the
What,
last,
Russ?
literally just the last sentence. You were
Oh,
so
yeah,
on.
true.
You were so right.
Yeah.
Every player who makes that much money
True,
approves
true,
the
true, true.
trade to the Lakers. He
Well,
approved the trade to the Lakers.
I'll say Rob Pelinka let the stars get in his head a little bit. Then I'll say that
I think
as far as
that, and
what
I
could work.
think LeBron is half to blame and Russ is half to blame, if that makes
Yeah,
sense, like for
true, true,
deciding
true.
to do it. Because on
Yeah,
the court, it was horrible. But like, screw that, dude. Off the court, it was horrible. Like you just said
true.
that. Like that's
Yeah,
shit that he could have controlled. I mean, from
fact.
my understanding in NBA circles, Russ is regarded as one of the best teammates. That's been repeated over the years on every team except for one team, except for the Lakers.
Yeah,
I mean, even like Austin Reeves and some of the younger guys were like saying Russ was a great teammate throughout that time. But I thought his his attitude on the Lakers was the worst I've ever seen for a Laker, especially a star. And I don't really understand what happened, but he seemed like a happier, more collected person and better teammate on the Clippers, which was also in LA. So who knows? Maybe our organization is messed up to some degree, but off the court, I thought he was. I I would say like it's our podcast. I could say whatever I want.
yeah,
I actually think he was really disrespectful to LA, to the media, to people were so disrespectful to him, to be fair. They were so bad to him. Like the especially Lakers fans. But like he was not I didn't feel like he was a professional on the Lakers. I don't think he deserves that. I think he deserves that credit on the Nuggets and the Clippers though, which is kind of why I had to hype him up for last night because he has a lot left in the tank. Like we all know he can't shoot. Like he literally cannot shoot and he's a point guard, which sucks. But like he can pass and I was right in front of the basket for Denver or right behind the basket in the second half when Denver was going that way and like he organize I heard him screaming, organizing the offense. Like I saw him getting Jokic in certain positions. I saw him telling Peyton Watson where to go. I saw him telling Christian Brown where to go. Like he led a charge against us. And I think maybe he has a lot to prove against the Lakers because of like how it didn't work out. My problems with him as a person, not just as a basketball player, is how he acted when he was a Laker. That's it. But everything else, I don't have a problem with him. But I did want to add to your point with what I said in the chat real fast, if it's okay. Like we all know the Lakers are 27th in defensive rating. I wrote that. Here's the teams who are around the Lakers. Ready? These are the teams in the same range as us: Wizards, Pelicans with all their injuries, Bulls, Jazz, Nets, Raptors. We're with all the tanking teams in the defensive metric, right? And we're not trying to tank. So you basically we put ourselves in a position from a roster standpoint where I think effort can't make up for how bad we are. But I did want to say I really disagree with Mark's point that I wasn't there last night. I would say this to him too, but he's a smart basketball fan and all that. But effort does matter even if the result is bad because it sets a tone. And then other possessions, maybe the result won't be bad. Maybe they won't hit a shot that's a difficult shot. Like effort does really matter. What Austin Reeves does matters because if D'Lo had the same effort every night, y'all remember, I think it was like against the Spurs and D'Lo like put in a lot of effort defensively and had 3 steals and he did more than just like box column stuff. Like he was pretty good defensively. So like D'Lo could be good at defense if he had Austin Reeves effort all the time. So effort does matter and we can't disregard that, but I'll go back to you guys.
Yeah, I think that's like a really interesting point. I think I understand what Mark was saying about how effort can't it doesn't matter. Like I think for me, effort doesn't fix everything, but I think it still matters. Is my thing where it's like obviously effort isn't gonna take us into the top 10 of the defensive rating, like it's just a fact. But I think effort could make like certain marginal changes and like effort can allow us to kind of succeed in the game of details, I think. And I think we lost in the game of details in a lot of senses as well. Like the small things where it's like the Magic, yes, they had really good defense on us, but like one of the things that really made us lose was the fact that we missed free throws. Literally, like literal small detail things. Like going 3 for 9 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter, that's disgusting. But it is those little details. You have to be on it every single minute and the Lakers just were not. And then you can go to Denver where it's just like you see our shooting performances, you can some people will think that Denver had like a defensive masterclass against us. No, that wasn't really the case. They weren't bad defensively, but they just kind of did the standard. It was just the fact that the Lakers were not clinical with their little details and there was no clinicality in the way they played offense as well. And I think it's just that's probably the reason why I think effort matters is because it can allow us to win the game of details and it can allow us to win over the little things that do eventually build up. Do we need to make bigger moves than just effort? Absolutely. I want some decent roster moves. I want some better construction for the team and I want some bigger things to happen, but I think effort does make certain differences. Like when I was categorizing like people when I was categorizing certain defenders, like there's a reason why I put Austin Reeves above like Connect and D'Lo and Rui, and that is because of the effort he puts in and the fact that he was more alert allows for a little bit better of an IQ on defense than what the other three already have. So even if it's not gonna like change everything for the team and make us number one contenders, I think the game of details really does matter more than people think.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's definitely effort is one of those things. Obviously, it's not gonna pop up on the stat sheet every single time, but I'd rather see Austin Reeves get straight up scored on and him stay in front of his man than, like I said, watching Rui Hachimura just get lost on the play. And also, I forget who mentioned this on stream as well. Why does it feel like nobody's locked in? Like nobody is on the same page. It feels like on the court. I think that's where a lot of these turnovers are. It's it's just silly stuff, like LeBron will throw a pass to Dalton Knecht, and he's not in the right place for the play. Or same thing with Austin Reeves, who's trying to throw the ball down low on the block to Anthony Davis, and AD's on the other side of the pass. So it's just a lot of bad communication, I feel like, and that's on defense as well. There's a lot of indirect switching going on where guys aren't locked into who they should go back to. I feel like that's a lot of problems too. It's just unorganized basketball what we're playing, and we can't. We have to play perfect. I don't think people understand that. We can't have a game where Anthony Davis and LeBron James don't play good. We've had games where they both play good and we still lose. So every night until we make some type of play, we legit have to play perfect. Like it's about the details. And that was one of the things I was excited about under JJ Redick is how he talked about he wanted to be a detail oriented team. Like that was his words. He wanted to focus on the details. He wanted guys to go through. That's the same reason D'Lo got benched. I think I was just talked about as well. Like there's times in games where D'Lo was playing good, or maybe it was Jake, I forget. Versus the Spurs, there was those games where he was playing great on both ends. He was playing defense, jumping the lanes, getting steals, and then there's games where you just literally see him like shrug his shoulders. Body attitude is just not there. You can see it visibly, and he's not contributing to the team. Like I'm seeing a lot of that from multiple guys on this team, And for a team who's already on paper not the best, we can't take shortcuts. And I think this team is taking a lot of shortcuts throughout the season. And that Nuggets game, just watching it, man, it was just so sad to see the same habits exist year after year after year, like undisciplined. The way we cover Jokic, the way Michael Porter Jr. is able to just float off of screens, get open shots every single time. And it's almost like they're playing the same song, and we've yet to learn the lyrics. Shout out to LeBron, no diss. Obviously, he's known for not remembering lyrics. Apparently, they're not remembering the same plays they're running as well. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully, like we said, as we move on in a little bit, we can kind of fix these mistakes early on into the season because I think people have to understand too. We are still early into the season. Like, yeah, there's a lot of bad things happening, but it's not the end yet. Like everything in standings wise is still very early. So, yeah, I'll just have to say details have been killing us lately versus especially these last two games we lost.
Yeah, yeah, but also, like, to add to your point, like from someone who saw it in person, which I know I keep bringing that up. It sounds so snobby. Don't worry, guys. I got the tickets for free. I don't have enough money to afford Lakers Nuggets. We did get free tickets, but like seeing it in person, the Nuggets are so organized. They're so well organized that they can stay afloat in the first half. Like they had a bad half, kind of. They stayed right there though, and their baseline. I told my dad this after the game. I went with my dad. I was like, their baseline is so good that if we start doing anything wrong, like making mistakes, you can't come back from that. Versus, like, even with the Magic, who were good, when we give up a 10-0 run, we can go have a 10-0 run. And I was sitting there in the third quarter watching the Nuggets run that just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I mean, it sucks to keep saying this so early, but at this point, it's like become very clear that you need major change with the roster because you don't have the roster to compete with the Nuggets no matter what. And I like what Earl said. Like we had games against the Nuggets where LeBron, AD, and I'll even throw Reeves did really well, for example, and we still lost by like 5. And then obviously last night when LeBron and AD didn't do well, we lost by, you know, 25. So, like, who's going to help you against the Nuggets when you don't have any options? Like, I watched JJ Redick bench Koloko to put Rui at the 5, which I understand. Like, Koloko looked really bad against Jokic right in front of my face. Like, but at the same time, like you need a backup center to come and help against Jokic because if you're telling me you have to put Rui at the 5 for those stretches, like you're probably not in great position either, especially with like how he can't really play defense. And I've always liked Rui the person, and I think he's had good games, but I didn't fall for something that I thought a lot of Lakers fans fell for in the first few games of the year, where they're like, look at the Rui we're getting this year. Like, not really. I mean, you got 18 or you got 22 some of the first few games or whatever. Like, that's great. But I'm seeing a poll in the chat too from last night. You got some decent scoring from Rui in the first few games, but no one ever accused him of like not being able to shoot or like not being able to hit mid-range shots or dunk. Like it's a problem when you have guys who can't play any defense, especially in the starting lineup. And that's not me saying start Connect because as much as I love him, like a lot of the issues you're gonna have are similar, especially against like a team like the Nuggets. But one positive note before we continue with the negative, like I really like Cam Reddish this year. Like I really, really do. I mean, he's shooting 64.3% from 3. His field goal percentage is actually 64.32, which I thought was weird for a sec. I did my own research. Like I was like, has he not taken any twos? But then I'm like, no, he's definitely taken twos. So somehow it's averaged out to be the exact same 64.3, at least from what I'm seeing on Real right now. His field goal percentage and 3 point, even though he hasn't taken all threes, which I thought was a weird stat, but just like being a two-way player like he has been, we didn't think he was going to be a two-way player, right? Like we thought he's going to be good on defense and not good on offense. If he keeps that up, it kind of shows you like a good mold, and I think he'll be useful. But then you still need a more, I would say, high leverage 3 and D. Yeah, he has a really small sample size, Alex, but yeah, you're right. He is like you need a more high leverage 3 and D guy. And I haven't been a fan of when Lakers fans are like, we need Dorian Finney Smith, or as Caden says, DeForian Finney Smith. But sorry, Caden. But we kind of do need a guy like that though. Like we need someone like who can shoot threes and play defense, bigger wing. And when we were good, like when we were on a 6 game stretch, when we were feeling better before the last 2 games, I said we're like 2 moves away from contending. I would probably say when I saw him against a contender, it only changed in the sense of I think we're like 3 moves away from contending. And I think you guys would agree. And it would probably be like a backup point guard. Like if you're gonna run like this bench lineup and not have D'Lo, let's say also like a backup point guard, a backup center, and then probably a 3 and D wing you could start. And those are just so hard to find, like especially money wise to make it work. That's the one where I would have sympathy for Rob. Like you don't want to overpay for Dorian Finney Smith, for example, but like there's not that many options. I just still think like getting a backup center and a backup point guard is not that hard to address. And I think until they do those things, you would see a similar result. So I understand Rob won't make a trade today. Like I do understand that as much as I wish it wasn't true. But if we go and play like the Celtics or one of the other like teams that we know is like a top few team, even the Cavs again, like you can't expect any different result when your roster is 5 times worse than those teams' rosters. Like I don't get how you would expect a different result. So that's where I'm at right now.
Definitely, like you said, it's just like they have the roster to be a mid team, you could say, maybe a fifth, sixth seed, but they don't have the team to be a Denver, to be a New York Knicks, potentially, like I said, Boston Celtics. So uh, definitely D'Angelo Russell gave Vince it had to be trade targets and have to get the big salary and big players, as you mentioned, like Dorian Finney, Robert Williams, etc. So let's hopefully they call those players, and Rob Pelinka is willing and ready to give up those draft picks.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and I think now that we kind of got a little bit of the bet out the way, we can be a little bit more optimistic about our future, our week. I would say in the NBA coming up. Let's preview a couple games before we go into like any other topics you guys might have. It is a busy week. We have two in-season tournament games this week. Thunder and the Suns. The Suns is on Tuesday. Thunder is on Friday, and then in between that, we play the Spurs. So my question to you guys is, what do you think our record will be on this 3 game stretch? Just a little preview. Obviously, we are still undefeated in the in-season tournament games, but I don't know. Not saying I'm losing hope, but it definitely will be a little bit tricky this time. Especially, I think Kevin Durant, he did practice today, so he might be ramping up for his appearance versus the Lakers, and I'm sure Bradley Beal will be available as well, as he always is, and then take 7 games off afterwards for sure.
I'm like looking at it right now. So the Suns and the Thunder game, they're both in season tournament, correct? And then the Spurs is like the filler game. Okay. I have a feeling. I feel like the ceiling that we have right now is 2 wins and 1 loss. Although I don't know if we'll reach that. I think more realistically, it'll be 1 for 2. I think at least one of the in-season tournament games we're gonna like really show up and like really try to take back that title. I think it depends on if the Suns like core is really inefficient, then we'll take it on that game. Or maybe with the Spurs, I think we did a decent job of figuring them out in the last game. Um, Even with the Thunder, I genuinely don't know. I think we can go like 2 for 1 and like I don't know which of these games we're gonna drop. I think it's unfortunately gonna more likely be one of the in-season tournament games, which pains me to say because we're on an undefeated streak. But I'm looking at it right now. We figured out the Spurs pretty decently. Um, and we did that away too last time as well, so that'll be interesting. And then whether we drop to the Suns or the Thunder, I think it depends on if the Suns core can be efficient against us or not. But I'll say either 1-2 or 2-1.
Yeah, I guess I'll go in between next. Personally, my team is a different. I don't believe in. I'm just playing. I haven't seen my team fail in the in-season tournament. I honestly think we're just a night and day type of team. I don't know what happens. Maybe it's the courts, maybe it's the jerseys, maybe it's the pressure, the simulated playoff environment. But I've never seen my team fail me in the in-season tournament game. Why should I switch up now? So I'm gonna be very optimistic. I'm gonna go with 2-1. I'm not gonna say 3-0. I think we definitely could lose. We're either gonna lose I want to say we stay undefeated, but I'm kind of with Alex on this one. Like I just don't know. I'm a little bit more unsure about OKC. Obviously, they didn't have a big before, but Isaiah Hartenstein is back, and he played really decent as far as the defensive end. The first game he came back, so that is a little bit, not worrisome, but it's an extra big that they can throw in there. Maybe to kind of, not saying he's gonna slow down Anthony Davis, but we don't really have a backup big either. So that definitely be interesting to see how they play with him versus us this year. Obviously, no Chet, but still, I mean, still, they're a great team. So that's my only one question mark. I mean, we've already played the Suns. I said this over and over again. We play them so many times. I really feel like it's just a coin toss on most of those games. It just depends on what type of night we're having and what type of night they're having. I mean, Devin Booker has been on and off this season. Kevin Durant, this will be his first game back off an injury, so I don't know how he's going to react. And this will be our first game after a 2-game loss or losing streak, I should say. And hopefully, guys come motivated and ready to win. So definitely could go either way. A lot riding on the line for us and the Suns. They were one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Katie gets hurt. They kind of dropped too, so it's an important game for them as well. So, um, I think Spurs are the Spurs. I really don't know. I mean, it just depends on Wemby, I guess. He Wemby is definitely different. His impact when he's locked in on both sides of the floor can impact the Spurs win. Like we've seen them come back. I think it was last night and win that game. Like Wemby was supposed to have a minutes restriction. He kind of joked about it. He said he did go over his minutes restriction, but he's not going to complain about it. Obviously, he was happy to go in there, contribute, and win. So it really depends on what version of the Spurs you're going to get. Some nights they look really good. Some nights they look really bad. So I think overall, we just have to work on, like we said, the details, the little things, rebounding, um, really rebounding and defense, man. That's my biggest things. We already got one of the best offensive teams when we're hot. I mean, statistically, defense is just horrible. So if we can knock down shots and guard up, we could be a hard team to stop. But the defense thing is a little bit harder for us to buy into a team as a whole. So that definitely sucks. So I'm gonna go 2-1.
For me, I mean, very much brutally honest. I just think that with how the Lakers looked recently and how they've been not playing aggressive and, like I said, lack of defense, this and that, there's potential they can go 0-3. My ideal would be 1-2, but I think 0-3 is a serious conversation just because they are going up against teams who can shoot well, are going to be aggressive, and going to be physical. I think the Spurs, from what we've seen, is a tough team. Steven Castle can go off. Of course, you mentioned Victor Wembanyama has a little nagging injuries, but he's still Victor Wembanyama. Kelly Johnson looks a little bit refined. Harrison Barnes I've been playing a little DFS on FanDuel, but he's been shooting well, you could say. So it's just like the Spurs are, in my opinion, no joke. Phoenix, like I said, they're getting back Bradley Beal, potentially getting back Kevin Durant. So it's like they could be, like I said, very efficient if they get to that point. And then, of course, OKC, still a great team. They have, like I said, amazing players. They don't have the center, which I think Davis could, like I said, take advantage of. But when it comes to, like I said, Shea, Jalen Williams, who's having an amazing season, and everyone else, they are still a threat to beat us.
I'm feeling negative about the team, but I'm gonna go 2-1 with us beating the Suns and the Spurs. I think the Thunder are harder for us than people realize, just because now they do have Caruso and Hardenstein. Obviously no Chet, as we know, because of the injury. I would probably say 2-1. We're not bad with after we get like exposed as frauds. Like we're not bad right after that. Like the last two games were so bad that I could have seen a loss to the Nuggets coming, sure, after the Magic game, but now I don't see a loss to the Suns coming. On the in-season tournament on Tuesday. Sorry, NBA in the NBA Cup on Tuesday, I should say. I don't feel optimistic, but I think 2-1 is still fair. I mean, 1-2 is probably more likely, but I'm gonna ride with 2-1. One quick topic before I forget. Wait, Caden, why are you talking about Sidney Thomas, bro? What does that have to do with anything? Okay, sorry. Back on topic. Caden, we got a show to run here, buddy, all right? Um, what even was topic? Yes, before I forget, fuck you to all the Lakers fans talking about Dwight Howard. Fuck you. Because I like Dwight Howard a lot. Um, why are we talking about Dwight Howard in 2024? And then Dwight starts posting like either eye emojis or a clip of him on the Lakers. That's how he posted 2 hours ago. And you got these big Lakers accounts on Twitter like, bring back the Jokic stopper. Like, first of all, Jokic on Dwight in 2020 was already a risk. Jokic on Dwight in 2024-2025 sounds horrible, dude. He hasn't been in the NBA in years. Like, I'm not a hater of Dwight 2020, but how quick do we forget about Dwight 2022 where he couldn't play anymore? When he came back to the team, that would have been like what, the third time his third stint on the team. Like he wasn't good. And now he's not in the NBA. Like, stop. Please. Stop going on Twitter. Like, I get you guys are desperate, but you guys don't have to show how desperate we are. We don't need Dwight Howard on the Lakers in 2024. Thank you, Alex. You're right. I saw your chat. Why are we talking about this? Like, get any backup center, dude. Give what's his name? Who's that dude? Moses Brown from Summer League. Like, trade for that guy over Dwight Howard. Like, why are we doing this? And people are riling the fans up, like Lakers guru, especially that guy. Like, stop, dude. Like, no one cares about Dwight Howard anymore. And honestly, if you are someone who really believes that Dwight Howard is the answer to our season, stopping Jokic and just being a backup point guard, like you should have your basketball card revoked, frankly. Like, what do you know about the NBA at all if that's what you believe? That I mean, I'm such a delusional biased Lakers fan and I would never say that. So quick little rant, but yeah, back to business.
I might as well touch on this. We're so desperate for the centers that we are really calling for Dwight Howard. And I saw people calling for JaVale McGee, even though he's literally like 38 years old. I'm just like, do you really think he's gonna have him as our direct backup? That's a little crazy. But for Dwight, he was literally doing the fucking paso doble in the ballroom like 3 weeks ago. I don't think he's NBA ready right now. And Alan said it in the chat is that what's even worse is Dwight's been going on a media tour saying, sign me to this team or this team could use me. And I just feel like the fact that Lakers fans are pushing for Dwight Howard center in 2020, almost 2025 is crazy, especially because Dwight himself and like other people are going to eat that shit up so easily. And I'm sick of it. We should be, well, not even we, Rob should be doing his job, but he should be looking at the actual market that we have and like thinking of actual trade options. And he should have been doing that a year or two ago. But because our front office didn't do anything about our big man depth. Now we're asking for Dwight Howard to come over and cha-cha his way onto our team. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, but I agree. I just hope that no one is actually taking the Dwight Howard rumors seriously or the JaVale McGee rumors seriously because like we should be a serious team. We can't be this unserious.
Yeah, I agree. It's like Dwight, we had our fun, we had our battles, but Dwight is on a different type of showtime. He's on primetime TV, not primetime Lakers showtime now. So all credit to him. I think he's doing some fun stuff in his life and his career as he should. That's what the retired guy should do. Enjoy your time with your family, have fun. But NBA days are it's over. Respectfully, I think we're good. Going that we're good. I promise we're good. That's it. No more Dwight. We get it. I agree. He's on social media. Go back to your campaign where you're bringing people overseas. That was a funny little thing you're doing. Oh, come join me. Come join our team. We can build a super team. You can build one over there, but we are not down bad to the point where we need to sign Dwight Howard. Now that happens if Jeannie Buss does that, then we gotta we gotta get something signed where she gotta release the team at that point.
Yeah, we're even worse than now.
So
Actually, can I add to this topic? Actually,
yeah, go
while we're
ahead.
on it, um, I go on Twitter, right? The reason the Lakers beat the Nuggets in 2020 is because AD was at the four and we had two proper centers standing next to AD. We could start JaVale McGee, so that's why we were so good in 2024 or 2020. Even if that was true, it's 2024, obviously. Like we just said, it's been 4 years. These guys are 38, 37 years old. No one's good at that age except for LeBron, by the way. Like, so I wouldn't even go that route with anyone old. But also, like, if you're so, I mean, no offense, like, maybe you guys do think this too. I don't know where everyone stands, but if you're someone who thinks AD should be the four, you kind of also don't really know about basketball long term because, like, he can go and be a four next to, like, Christian Wood or like if we had a Brooke Lopez for like 5 minute stretches, like that I'm not opposed to. But like acting like AD is this sniper four at this age is crazy. Like it's just a different AD than he was on the Pelicans and a different AD than he was in 2020 before like two other major injuries on the Lakers. He can't shoot to the level. I know he sometimes hits threes. He can't shoot to the level to play the four, and as much as like he can guard all four and fives, it would be better for his body to be a five. Actually, at this point, he's now a bulkier center. He's an interior center. And what happened when AD tried to act like a four? Look no further than last night, where Nikola Jokic drew him out of the paint and AD had to settle for jump shots. He settled for mid range. He settled for floaters, you could say, and he missed a lot of them. That just doesn't sound like the recipe. You can't. I don't understand Lakers fans not understanding basketball because AD can't be a four. Okay, so let's say AD can be a four. Let's just say that. Well, the opposite of what I just said. AD can play the four. Now LeBron is at the three. LeBron is 40 years old. Why would LeBron be the three? Let's think of a team with like a good three he would have to go against. I don't even know. I can't tell you, but it's someone quick, right? So if Tatum is now the four in this current NBA, let's just say Brown is the three. Why would we do it that way? Where AD now doesn't guard the Porzingis type guy for the Celtics, and instead he guards Tatum, and then Braun being slow and not having as much energy at age 40 has to guard a quick burst Jalen Brown. So even if our guys can handle it for 2 minutes, they can't handle that for a full season. And at Braun's age with his frame, he needs to play the four. So if Braun has to play the four, then AD has to play the five if he's in. That feels so obvious to me. So I don't understand that whole thing of like, if you had JaVale McGee in the game, for example, that would work because in reality, it's been 4 or 5 years since Braun was playing the three and since AD could play the four. It's been a lot of years at this point.
I think I'll add on to that where it's just like I put it in the chat, but I feel like 80 because he's been in the center position for quite a while and has had a huge role in that position in a while. He's been kind of making and has made a transition where he's not really that bona fide four anymore. Like I've entertained the idea before and I can still see why people are thinking that way, but I just feel like he's just not as comfortable. Like his go-tos aren't as resembling of like someone who'd play the four anymore because he has been making that transition into being something else. I think his shooting might have improved definitely from last season, but I was looking at the recent games. I was looking at the recent games, like the last 2 or 3 games, and like all the things that he has missed has been contested fadeaways in that mid-range area, and just like settling for shots and things like that. And most of the things he has made has been pretty close to the rim, and I feel like that's just like a basic view how like offensively he's being utilized much differently, and he's been getting used to that transition of not being that bona fide power forward or that bona fide four position anymore. And I liked the idea of it a couple of years ago where it's like we had a real center and he can just be fully strictly like at the four. But I think now we have to think of it a bit differently where it's just like if we need a big man to play next to AD, things are gonna be a bit things are definitely going to be different where it's like AD is still going to have to play that five role here and there just because he's been making that transition, and it looks like he's a little more accustomed to not having these power forward plays and techniques be his go-to's anymore. So like I see why people say it, but I kind of have to agree with Jake where it's just like I don't know if that's realistic, at least for right now. It doesn't feel realistic at the moment.
And if you slide those two over I mentioned, our two best players, they're more likely to have injuries. Keeping up with modern NBA foot speed at the 3 and 4 position, and also like Draymond Green came into the NBA as like a 3 and then went to the 4. And when he was younger, he had better foot speed and he could guard like wings better. And now in all of the Warriors' best lineups the last few years, Draymond plays the 5 and they just call it small ball, but really the whole NBA is small ball until you play like a Jokic or Embiid, and those are definitely rare games. Those games matter, like as we know, us against the Nuggets matters. You have the need still for a center on the roster who isn't Koloko, but my point is putting AD at the 4 doesn't actually solve things. So imagine we played Denver and AD and AD's actually playing well against Jokic and LeBron guards like Aaron Gordon. Your issue is not that you didn't have this other center for those closing minutes, those last 5 minutes. It's the fact that you don't have a 3 who can guard Michael Porter Jr. And that's why MPJ has so much success against us, because the people who try to guard him or get switched onto him our twos, or sometimes even our point guards, or like our Reeves or our Russell could get switched on him and he shoots over them. So Denver has a really big lineup because of MPJ, but what we're missing is a 3. We're not missing a 5 for closing minutes. So like, sorry, just better way of saying it real quick is if the Lakers trade for a center, that Walker Kessler is not going to be closing the game for us against Denver because AD will be closing the game at the 5. But if you trade for a 3 and D small forward, that person can close the game against Denver by guarding MPJ. And that's what I'm looking for. That feels like one of our biggest weaknesses, especially starting wise. But yeah, I agree that Vanderbilt is what, like Mal saying in the chat right now, Vanderbilt obviously is a big missing piece that would really help us. He's a key piece, but it's just like if he's going to be injured all the time, like you probably have to plan to not have Vanderbilt. I think that's more than fair. Like, and if he comes back and he's a bench player in the playoffs, great. But like, plan to have someone who can go guard MPJ in 3 weeks. Don't sit on the idea of Vando and never do anything to fix the roster at that position.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think we definitely have roster issues, like kind of all around the lines, and I think the key thing is knowing that Rob Pelinka is the guy who's going to pull the trigger on that. When will it happen? Honestly, I have no clue, but the sooner it happens, like I've been preaching, the better. So we don't have to worry about building chemistry towards the trade deadline and trying to make a run at the last minute. But kind of moving forward to our next segment before we start wrapping things up a little bit, we're gonna go to our weekly tier list. I'm sure there's gonna be a couple guys moving around. D'Lo- I don't know if he can go any lower than what he's been, but yeah, we're gonna have that pulled up. Have Alan pull that up for us, and we're gonna get locked in. But let's start with Alex. Alex, pick your player. Who we starting with today?
Okay, so as we can see, we have ABC, limited minutes, South Bay Lakers, and trash. Gabe Vincent's already at the bottom, so I feel. Did we just
We
like erase?
started Gabe Vincent in trash. That's
We didn't even try
hilarious.
to rate him. Is
Oh
that
wait,
what?
no, it just says Gabe
He
Vincent.
has his
Yeah, no,
own
it just
tier,
it
bro.
has his own tier of
If
trash.
you need to
He's
explain,
like,
I will explain. But yeah.
wait. I think before I should go, I think Alan should explain the updated tier list a little before I go.
So, like I said, I kind of made an update to this. Me personally, I don't feel like there's any S tiers with how everyone has played. Just like I said, although we did have that great game versus the Utah Jazz, those back games, in my opinion, were not enough to provide an S tier. But like I said, ABC, uh, of course, the regulars and the injured limited, and South Bay Lakers, we put trash because we've been a little too nice providing D tiers, but I feel like the right time is to take out the D tier, and we're here to get serious now. And then, of course, under that is Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent is Gabe Vincent. Look. I'll just say that.
I love it, Alan. I think you did it the right way. I would have left S tier and put no one, but that's no difference from what you did, to be honest, because no one's going there. Um, I also just, yeah, I think you did a good job. I like the order. I want to say, like, we're not going to move him. I would just say to start it, Jared Vanderbilt is close to being in Gabe Vincent, if that makes sense, even though he's injured. But because he is still badly injured, it's fine. It's just it's gotten to the point now. It's been a long time. I think he might be in close to Gabe Vincent tier.
Alright, so basically, if Vandal pulls out one more bad fit, he's going to Gabe Vincent tier. Is that what I'm hearing?
Either that or trash. Like maybe we put in Jared Vanderbilt in trash because of his outfits
Oh my
or his
god.
shopping addiction. His shopping addiction put him in trash. But no, we don't have to move him. All jokes. I just for me, I honestly, can I just start us off? Because I
Honestly, go
have,
ahead. Take
yeah,
take
yeah.
take my spot, please.
Because I have one, Alex, off the bat. I mean, and you guys may have to overrule me. I think D'Lo has been so bad that D'Lo is Gabe Vincent tier. I don't think D'Lo is trash. I think D'Lo is Gabe Vincent. I think that's where I would put D'Lo. I mean, honestly, I think that's fair. But if you guys want to put D'Lo in like trash, like that's fine. I get it.
I mean, genuinely, I see the vision. Like I would have initially put him in trash tier, but like I see the vision because it's like the people are gonna look at stats and be like, oh, he has 5 assists, 6 assists, but it's just like the eye test does not lie. I feel like in terms of actual playmaking, D'Lo has been kind of minimal. He's just been doing like open passes here and there, and like that's the only reason why he has a remotely high assist rate. Um, so it's like I just think that, and then that on top of the fact that he's obviously just like terrible in scoring, does not really have nearly as much offensive impact, and it's because he's been trash. And then just the fact that his defense has not been getting much better. So I mean, we can put him at Gabe Vincent tier before Gabe Vincent, maybe. He's more Gabe
Yeah,
Vincent
I
than
think
Gabe
he's like
Vincent.
ahead of Gabe Vincent in Gabe Vincent tier. Because my other thing, Alex,
You know,
is like D'Lo. Sure, D'Lo's trash, but Jackson Hayes is trash in the stereotypical NBA way.
True.
The Gabe Vincent tier to me, this is maybe overanalyzing. The Vincent tier to me represents you need to go to therapy
That's
to figure
crazy.
sorry, to figure out, not that you have mental problems, but you have a basketball mental problem that needs to be addressed in therapy,
Uh,
and your confidence is gone. I feel like that's Gabe Vincent tier. So that's why I would argue D'Lo is ahead of Gabe in Gabe Vincent tier.
Alright, that's fair. So I would honestly, I see the vision. If Gabe Vincent equals speak to a sports psychologist tier, then like sure, I'll take it. Cause like he was a
Exactly.
yeah, like cause it's like the eye test does not lie, aka you have to watch the actual games because like D'Lo may not have like the worst stat line. He's not putting up Tony Snell numbers like Gabe Vincent, but that doesn't really matter when you see that D'Lo's efforts continue to be super minimal despite making all these false promises in the preseason, et cetera, and how both defensively and offensively he's severely underperforming. So we can put D'Lo in Gabe Vincent tier, and I'll find a number for a good sports psychologist on their behalf.
Look, I'll say this, man. D'Lo makes me so mad. Um, I honestly, it's so bad that I almost want to elevate Gabe out of his own tier, put him in trash, so D'Lo can be isolated by himself in the Gabe Vincent. The thing about it, because he's worse.
Whoa,
We're paying this man.
that's not a bad point.
Think
I want
about
to
it. We're
say that.
paying this
It's
man
not a bad point.
what, 19 plus $1 million? Gabe Vincent, at least, I mean, I know he's our MLE, but still, like, he went from 17 points a game to 11, shooting 28% from three. Like, there's no way we can just excuse that behavior. And then, like, the whole press tour and the whole, yeah, you know what? I just forgive and forget. It's a new coaching system. I'm just gonna go with the flow. Like, he thinks he's the nonchalant, just chilling guy, but no, he's like the opposite version. He's the annoying guy who makes a bunch of excuses. Then he goes and blames everybody else. He blocks the whole Lakers community and says, "Oh, we love him."
Started
No,
with me.
we don't love you, bro. I'm sorry. Like, it's over. Like, that relationship is broken. It's not ever coming back. I don't care if D'Lo goes and drops 40 points 6 games in a row. It's done. Like, I just don't understand. And then his games where he's just giving no effort, and he gives like half interviews, like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna be bought into the system. It's a new guy, new coach. Like, I'm just tired of it, man. Like, I try to be positive. I try to defend D'Lo, but I can't, bro. I think he's literally on a tier by himself. He's worse than Gabe Vincent, hands down. At least Gabe now he's producing someone on offense. We don't even expect it from Gabe to produce offense, but he has been a little bit. Defense has been whatever. But D'Lo, man, D'Lo is public enemy number one on this Lakers team. And I don't even think it's close to anybody else.
Yeah, and like D'Lo, I know like he blocked everyone again. I just want to make it clear he blocked me first last season. I was the first big Laker account. The reason I make that clear is because I was hating when he was inconsistent. Like, so he had really good games last year and then he had really bad games. At least like offensively, I think we can agree, like 30 points and then 8 points or whatever. But like this year, it's a different D'Lo. That's what I want to make clear, that there's a big difference. I would go as far to say I don't trust Rob Pelinka to fix the team. It'll be a pleasant surprise if it happens. But I would say that D'Lo is a lock to be traded more than anyone in the NBA. If there's any team who will take that contract and we get to February and still have D'Lo, I could see us attaching multiple picks to D'Lo to get absorbed by Brooklyn. I think he's more likely to be traded than any player in the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I guess we'll settle for trash just to round it out. That's cool with me. I think we kind of all agree with that. But
No,
moving
no,
on to
no.
our
Wait, can we do it the way you said though, Earl?
oh, we can if you guys want to go that way, I'm down with it.
I like how you said it.
I
You
was just making
said
a funny suggestion, but yeah.
D'Lo and Trash, D'Lo and Gabe
Yeah,
Vincent, Gabe and Trash. I like that way. If you
it's like the
guys are cool with
Spider-Man
that.
meme where they start pointing at each other. But in this
Yeah.
case,
This is crazy. Okay.
D'Lo, we're shipping D'Lo to
I
a
mean,
different
we could
universe,
damn
bro.
near name Trash D'Angelo Russell and throw Gabe Vincent in there. Make
We're
people
playing
more
mind games
confused.
now. We're playing mind games
I
now.
mean, we would have Twitter so confused. But yeah, we could leave it that way. I
Yeah, for
think that's
sure.
good.
Oh
But
man.
go ahead, Alex. Who you nominating for the second pick
Ooh.
here?
Okay. I want to hear Alan's opinions on D'Lo and Gabe Vincent after this. But oh, where did the tier list go?
Yeah, my bad, Alan.
Where'd it go? But I was gonna do Rui next. He's definitely not gonna be any higher than C. I'm gonna put that clear. I think he has a case for C tier. I think he has a case for trash tier. I think that it is undeniable that his rebound and not his rebound, his defense has been abysmal, and the fact that his um and the fact that like a lot of people were petitioning for Dalton to start over Rui because despite having the size, his defense was still shit says a lot in my opinion. So we can't deny that. However, I also do know that he has been slightly better on the offense ever since not just today's game, but also like the last game he played, which was against Memphis. So his shooting is getting a little bit more efficient again, but it's undeniable that his defense is so bad. And I think, okay, he's not D'Angelo Russell tier. I think naming a D'Angelo Russell tier opened my eyes. I think Rui's more of a C tier, like low C tier.
I have C anyway, Alex,
And
and
he
I
only
think
played one game too, so I
yeah,
Yeah, we
get
and
can't.
he was injured. Yeah,
So he wasn't like consistently trash. Like we can't say that because he was injured, but I just think that slightly elevated efficiency in the offense, but just continuously poor defense costing us games. I think C tier makes sense to me at least.
and I don't think he should be on the same level as D'Lo or Vincent. And also, for those of you who are watching or are confused, I know Alan and I, we just talked about like doing trash tier as D'Angelo Russell tier. We just changed that. Alan did. I think it actually makes a lot of sense because relative to what D'Lo was for this team and his issues, Gabe does encapsulate that tier. But then Gabe Vincent is so bad overall that this week D'Lo is in Gabe Vincent here. I think it makes a lot of sense, although I'm sure it will confuse some people.
yeah. But what's your thoughts, Alan? I know we didn't get you on the last one either, as well.
No, it's good. Yeah, just some crazy stuff, crazy players that they deserve their own tiers, man. I had to switch it up just because it's funny, but at the same time, it's like they're both bad. And Rui Hachimura, good, but like you guys said, injuries and everything. So C.
And if D'Lo has an average D'Lo week, then he'll flip flop with Gabe. Like if Gabe has a Gabe week, they'll just flip flop and go back to their own name,
It's
bro.
basically like equivalent to like when you're switching rooms in your house. Like you walk from one room to the next room. Basically, what it is. It's the floor. It's the floor. They're the floor for our team, unfortunately. But Alex, you want to go? I mean, Alan, you want to go next? Pick a player, or I can
I
go
think,
too. Or
Who's
can you
going?
hear?
I mean, Earl, you didn't pick one yet. You could go.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can go.
I'll go. I'm going with my goat, Cam Reddish. Welcome, Cam Reddish. I think B tier. I think he's been a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter, shooting the highest percentage on the team. His defense has been a lot better since he became a starter again. And yes, he does have his lapses where he plays kind of bad, but for the contract, anything that Cam Reddish does above that pay gap is a plus every single night. If you ask me anybody on this team who goes out there, he takes criticism, he learns from it. What is one thing we complained about last year? Cam Reddish, you got knocked on your corner shots. Well, he's locked in this year. He actually worked on what he's supposed to be doing. Like guys who talk about Auburn in the gym working, Cam Reddish knows what his role is, and he got better at doing the like he doesn't take a lot of shots either. All he did was get better at, practicing the shots that he's going to get in game. And he's done a good job of doing that. And we talked about, hey, we need a defender. We had games where it just looked horrible. We plugged him in and he worked miracles for us. So I'm gonna put him above Rui for this week because I just think he plays with just a little bit more effort on both ends, I feel like, and he really takes advantage of every single opportunity he has, every possession. So I'm gonna go with Cam Reddish at B tier. That's my little speech for Cam Reddish. Shout out to Reddish, man.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Cam Reddish, mid to high B tier in my opinion. I think that he doesn't do any of these things perfectly, but he does it pretty well and especially exceeding expectations. I had critiques about his defense being a little like he gambles on defense a bit here and there, but again, at least he's putting in the effort and at least he actually plays good defense a majority of the time. And also small sample size in shooting and being involved in the offense, but he is showing efficiency. So he's definitely exceeding expectations. He's not like A tier or S tier or anything like that, but he's doing really good. So B tier. I'm good with that.
By the way, if Cam averages like about 15 for a week, so let's say like 3 games, and plays the same defense, I would put him in A. So that just I think that explains to people kind of like if you're a Cam Reddish, how would you get an A? I think you should have to average at least 15 through like a week though. Alan, you should pick next. You didn't pick a player yet.
Yeah, I think I'll say for Cam Reddish, I would have said at least he could have been an A if he played those minutes that D'Angelo played versus Orlando, where Russell's airballing back to back threes. Like during that live stream, we were very much complaining why Cam wasn't in, and it wasn't until Cam came in, it was like the 3 or 2 minute mark where, of course, Franz Wagner was going off, and yeah, we saw Cam go into an island versus France and give up that 3 pointer. So only if he played a couple of minutes, JJ Reg messed up that rotation, and Cam's a B for this week, even though he could have been an A if he did if given more minutes. I'll say.
Yeah, I'll just say this real quick too, and it's sad though, because you're right. That was a game where he was playing good. He had 8 points and 8 rebounds, and he just never touched the floor again until it got just horrible, and they needed him for one play. And like box score that game, he was 3 for 4, so he had only missed one shot, 2 for 2 from three that game as well. Last game he was 2 for 3. So I agree, man. Shout out to Cam Reddish. He's getting sold by the higher ups. I agree.
Well, he might be playing his way into more minutes to both of your guys' point. Like if he comes out this next week and he gets more minutes, he has a chance to go to A as well, just because his impact has been really good. But Alan, you still got to pick one.
Yeah, I'm going Christian Coloco, and like I said, we're being serious here, but I got to put him in on the Andrew Russell tier. He hasn't been effective, but he's at least done the stuff to be on the court here and there.
I agree. I don't think he's on Gabe Vincent. I think that makes sense. But I think it's almost like Coloco had a similar impact to Gabe Vincent this week with like a few good flashes on offense, a few good flashes on defense, but pretty much the D tier equivalent, and also just kind of what we expect out of D'Angelo Russell, which is why I think it's fair to like call that category D'Angelo Russell.
D for D'Angelo makes a lot of sense now that you put it like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think Coloco could have had a slight case for C minus had he not had some really weird shot selection moments throughout the game as well. I think it's on the fact that like his impact was like minimal to average, so that you can make a case either way for C or D. And then on top of the fact that he had really poor shot selection, you remember those airball threes. We remember those airball threes from Coloco. I don't know
I
why he
think
was.
he only had like one, but still that's way too many.
That's one too many. Because like,
I
why are
agree
you
with
even
you.
there? Like, why are
Yeah,
you
I
even
agree.
there?
I
So
agree. I don't even know why he was standing there at the 3 point line. But I think he's ahead of Gabe, where Allen just put him.
yeah, he's D'Angelo plus. I'd say sure.
I guess since I started, we'll go back around in the circle. Connect hard to say because he's kind of A for what he does. He didn't play great against the Nuggets, I thought. His defense isn't there. I think he's more important for the team and playing better compared to expectations actually than Cam, which does say a lot because Cam is doing well. For me, I think I would go top of B, but I would also like to hear what you guys say because I would be okay averaging it out anywhere you guys say.
Is there anyone that deserves Oh gosh, because A minus and B plus makes sense. I think it's just a matter of like what you guys think about Dalton's defense. Because I feel like his defense is so horrible. Um, but that's not his priority role. But at the same time, it's just so horrible that is it still enough to impact his ranking? And I think maybe so.
That's why I
Um,
have him on B, by the way,
yeah,
Alex.
I'm leaning towards B plus right now, but
Because he's A offensively, like
oh yeah.
especially compared to what he should be doing for us, and just as a rookie, I think he's A offensively.
Yeah, so I guess the question is just like if you look at his defense, he has fairly lower expectations for defense, but it's also like is he still underperforming to those lower expectations? So I can agree with B plus, although if he got just a little bit more physical, a little bit more like of effort on defense, he could be an A for sure.
I got him below Cam in B for me. Like I said, he had that 37-point game, which is A tier, but those last two games, like I mentioned, knocks him down a few.
Yeah, I mean, whatever Earl says. I mean, Earl, if you say the same as Allen, I don't really know how we're gonna do it because it would be in line with Cam.
Look, I'll say this, man. I'm conflicted, but I might have to give it to Cam Reddish, man. I think if you gave Cam Reddish 38 minutes, I think he can score more points. And we already know Cam Reddish is a plus defender as well. I mean, Dalton, don't get me wrong, he's played great these last couple games. Well, he played great one game. He played decent another game. I think he had 17 points. Then he just played kind of bad for the minutes he was given in the third game versus Denver, which is a game we kind of needed him. Especially to hit that I want to say like 14 plus point range, which is obviously crazy to ask for a rookie. We had that conversation, but it's what he's shown us he's able to produce, is what matters. So I'm holding him to his standard. So I might go behind. I know it's a tie, but I might have to go a little bit behind Cam Reddish, man. Keep it interesting. I don't know.
I
Alan, you
mean,
made the tier list, so
sorry, y'all. I'm gonna switch sides. Y'all sold me. I would say let's
you
just
know
put
what I
him
mean though?
behind Cam
Like,
because if we now have high expectations for Dalton, even though he's a
mhm.
rookie, I understand it's unfair, but like we need him. He had 37. And I just think like I would put him above Cam if he came out this next week and averaged like 20. Let's say he even made it easy. Like he had 25, 15, and 20. I would put him above Cam, but one game shouldn't put you above Cam, who's helping every game, I think, right
Facts,
now.
facts. I agree.
Honestly, I'll take that. I think Dalton is still in the process of learning how to be offensively dominant, and I think that's such an unfair ask for a rookie, but at the same time, that's just on the level he's on. Where it's like he's still in the process of learning how to become a little more and more dominant on the offense. Where it's just like, yes, he can take good shots, but he struggles against this matchup. He struggles against this many minutes, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think honestly, below Cam is valid. I'll take it considering that Cam is exceeding expectations.
Yeah. And it is also your turn to go again too, Alex.
Oh shoot, it is my turn. Okay. Um. Ooh. Okay. Let's go with Max. I think he is a decent example of like a C tier where like his defense definitely did impact the game to a certain extent and he did his job of earning his role back in the rotation. So that is something that I can applaud him for and he deserved it. I just don't think he's been as impactful as like the guys in the B tier. And I think Max Christie's a pretty good example of C tier. Whether you put him above or below Rui, I'll let you guys decide, but I think Christie's a very solid C tier in my opinion.
But I think your logic is really good. Like, also, he is not really close to Connect or Cam right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being B tier for us in a week or two or for some stretches for sure. But like he's levels above Coloco and Gabe, for example, if that's the tier lower. And then like I I don't know. I don't know about Rui because Rui was injured, Alex. So I don't know whether to put him above or below Rui. But if it was based on the whole year, I would put him below Rui, obviously. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going C tier as well. I think that Rui game, it was definitely not the best showing at all, unfortunately. Um, he didn't contribute a lot. He caused a lot more problems for us than pretty much anybody else that night. You know what? Let's keep things interesting. I think I'm gonna put Max Christie above Rui. And the reason why, I think Rui, he only played one game. If I'm gonna judge him by one game, then I'll just judge them both off of this one game they played each. And this is a game where Max Christie, he had 12 points, he had an assist. Don't know about steals. I think he maybe had one steal. I'm not sure. I don't see the stats on that on this right here. I'm looking at. Hold on. Um,
I mean, I can
yeah,
tell you in person, Max looked way more impactful for us than Rui last night.
yeah, I agree. And then he had 2 3-pointers on top of that. So that's pretty much a plus when you can get 2 threes out of Max Christie. So I'll probably go ahead of him, ahead of Rui because we expect more for Rui, even off of an injury. He just played really bad. I can't ignore what he did on defense. It was horrible.
Same here.
I guess that leaves me next, huh? The big three. Who am I choosing from the big three? This is actually a lot harder this week between these three guys, if I'm being honest. You know what? I'm gonna go with who do I want to take here? Why? You know what? I'm gonna pass my turn. No, I'm just playing. All right, I'm gonna choose.
Boo.
I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. Um, I'm gonna choose. You know what? Give me LeBron James for 300. I'll take LeBron. LeBron is an interesting one because while we did lose 2 games this week, ah, it's really the turnovers, bro. If he didn't have so many turnovers, this would be a lot easier of a decision to make for me. Um, my God, I don't know. It's hard. LeBron has been playing below his standards, and I think if I'm gonna be fair, I have to keep him to the 14 turnover. Yeah, 14 turnovers and 3. I can't ignore that, bro. I can't. Um, but do I think he's on the same tier as Cam Reddish and Dalton Knecht? That's really the part where I'm just stuck on.
That is an issue. But
You know what I mean?
LeBron relative to LeBron, and
I
with a
have to go
bad
B.
week and with 2 losses, I would say the top of B. And because
I
we differentiate people in different tiers, there could still be a big gap between LeBron and Cam and Connect right now.
true. Thank you for the insight, Jake. I agree. Like you really put all my thoughts into words right there. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go top of B for me. I think Braun, he definitely has some good games, but then again, we didn't win a lot this week. I mean, he had 26 first game, wasn't really shooting that great from three, 1 for 5. I mean, he's been way better than that on the season. Second game he had 31, but then again, they missed some clutch free throws, him and Anthony Davis. So we lost that game. And then you have the Nuggets, 18 points, 7 for 17, 1 for 4 from three. What, 7 turnovers? He had 3 steals though. Good for him on that. But LeBron standards, I think I have to grade him off of who he is, LeBron James. I know he's old, but he's had great games this season where he's put up those stats and won. So I'll keep him to that. Turnovers are getting a little sloppy, and it's really hurting our team. And I feel like the only way to be fair to this tier list is to be fair from top to bottom. So I'm gonna go top of B for Braun. B for Braun.
I think I can see that. I mean, if we're judging him based on his expectations, and how he went super below that, I think that 14 turnovers and just the fact that he just continues to show no effort on the defense. And I think I was seeing people talk about like how if Braun and AD are coming out super defeated and like super psychologically weak during these like Denver games and etc., it affects the entire team. And I know that may seem like a big expectation to put on Braun, but it is put on Braun because he is like the veteran leader of the team. So I think that validates B even more for me.
Yeah. Alan, you go next. But yeah, I think we're in agreement. Unless you have another point, Alan.
No, I'm with you guys. Top of B for this one.
But you pick someone, I'm saying, my bad.
All right, sure. Uh, I think we'll go Austin Reeves for this one. Austin Reeves has been iffy. He's been not having the greatest shooting rhythm, but like I said, he's still part of our offense and why the Lakers are still in competition. So he's, in my opinion, either below Cam or either above Cam. I think. I don't know.
Above, he's too important to the offense. He has the ball too much. I mean, frankly, he's helped us get some wins and been underrated of sorts, but also I tend to think he's even after this week, for example, Alan, I think he's the third best player on the team. And I do think that like tracks with how they've been doing. And I would almost just say like put him below LeBron, but above Cam for me, if you guys agree.
Yeah, I'll say this. Austin Reeves, since the season started, he's been carrying the weight of our um I don't even know what to call him or can't even call him an asset. Asset means that you have some type of value. He's been carrying the weight of two players, Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell. We pretty much lost all of D'Angelo Russell's offense, pretty much his playmaking as well, a little bit this season, and Austin Reeves has had to kind of fill in that gap. Yes, he's been inconsistent this week and really kind of sloppy on these turnovers, I do admit, but I still think his impact is better than Cam Reddish, it's better than Dalton Knecht because he's such a focal point to the whole offensive system. And same thing we talk about just his level of effort on defense. Like, yeah, he doesn't get to stop every play, but at least I see him actively trying to navigate around screens better, stay up on his man, playing close up defense. So I definitely put him behind Braun as far as impact, just for the trend for this week.
JJ Redick is around the Lakers every day, and he's a really smart basketball mind. I think we can all agree. And I would put my life savings if someone asked him who's been the third most important Laker this season, or even if you phrased it this week, and he says Austin Reeves 10 out of 10 times. But since I'm talking about JJ and I'm going next, I'm not going to pick JJ. I'm going to go to Anthony Davis and say, A, because he sucked last night. I'll be so fair. He was not himself last night. But go check his stats in the games before, the other games this week. We can't forget about the other games. He sold us with free throws again. So, yeah, there's some negatives with AD, right? He's like the lowest of low for A, but he's still A. I mean, it's the Lakers. It's the Lakers. It's the 2024 Lakers. If AD isn't on A, something went horribly wrong. I mean, I could get close to arguing that AD is either going to be on A or injured or S. Sorry. Yeah, he was S all the other weeks. Yes. Sorry. That's what I mean, Alex. I was forgetting because we didn't have S this week. AD is A. Now, whether he's like on the fringe, sure, but he's A easily.
I think I'll take that. I think no one else deserves an A in my opinion. That's a little precursor to how I feel about JJ right now. No one else deserves an A, but if someone else was there, he would be like on the lower end of A. I think A minus makes sense considering that he was in the non-existent S tier for pretty much the entirety of the season until now. He made some crucial mistakes in the clutch and then had a poor showing after, but still had a pretty high impact in the games that he played. So I think because it's like even with everything that he struggled with, he is still the best player on our roster. And I think A minus is fair considering where he was before. But I want to know what you guys think before I go.
Yeah, Anthony Davis, always dominating Davis. I think that he played great this week, even when we lost. I mean, he had 39 points in that loss. And a lot of that was little mistakes, like we talked about throughout the show details. He easily could have had a 40-point night, and that would have been the best game of the week for him. Still was, even though we lost, but I mean, it would have been one of the best games of the season for him. I'll add that on. So, yeah, I think he's been great. I mean, even last night, terrible on offense, but it's not like he was. I feel like it wasn't like he was taking like terrible shots. The same shots he was missing were the shots he usually knocks down. Like even the mid range has been really decent this season. The little floaters he's been throwing up, he's been doing that consistently at a high level this year. So it's not like, oh, I'm shying away from my offense, Anthony Davis, where he takes like 8 shots, 9 shots. I mean, he took 19 shots, and only made 6 of them. So he was still aggressive. He was just not getting into any type of rhythm, which sucks. But he was still somewhat active on defense. 2 blocks, 3 steals. I mean, that's still impressive, especially for his defensive player of the year campaign, which is, there's other guys out there doing some crazy stuff. Shout out to Dyson Daniels. But still, I think this week AD played great. And if we're ranking him off of this regular season, he was S tier before. I think it's only right to hold him to that standard and drop him down 1 tier. And that's still A. Like, he's still by far the best player on this roster. And he was the best player this week, hands down. No doubt about it. So shout out to Anthony Davis.
And in terms of S, like as a general rule, if Dalton Knecht won Rookie of the Year, I would still put him at A personally, like top of A. I think S. I know we don't have it this week. I think it's reserved for AD, LeBron, and maybe Austin Reeves if he has a crazy week. I would consider it.
I see JJ Redick. I'm going top of C for this one. That last play to 80 was, come on, man. Come on, JJ Redick. You could come up with something better.
And you mentioned this earlier, Alan, but when we were watching that Orlando game live, and he like somehow, even though he's been good with D'Lo, he benched D'Lo. Played D'Lo in the fourth instead of Cam, who already had 8 and 8. I felt like it didn't make sense, especially because we needed to guard Franz. Like a lot of people were blaming Cam for Franz hitting that last shot. I'm still taking Cam on Franz during the fourth over probably everyone else on the roster, minus Vanderbilt, who's injured. So I remember saying that night against Orlando, I think it was Thursday, that I thought it was the one time I really didn't like JJ's rotations. But again, in person yesterday, he seemed a little lost and very frustrated against Denver. So I think top of C is fair, like Alan said.
Yeah, I'd say C plus makes sense. I would have said BC fringe, but I think C plus makes sense. I think if you have 2 seconds left on the clock and your final play of all the options that we had is for Anthony Davis of all people to take a contested mid-range fadeaway over Jonathan Isaac again of all people, you don't deserve much higher than C plus tier, I think. Also looking at the record, 1 for 2 in those last 3 games. Not super great either. I think I understand that like the roster is pretty like paper thin. I feel like the bar is pretty low, especially on defense. So I understand that JJ has to work through that. I think he is a really great basketball mind still, and he does a really good job of trying to understand his players. I just think he made too many crucial mistakes in these past couple of games, especially against the Magic, where I don't think he can be much higher than C plus in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think JJ Redick definitely, like we said, we're holding these guys more towards the standard of what they've shown us so far this season. And JJ Redick has had his moments of putting together great plays. That's why that Anthony Davis fadeaway game winner play really made no sense to me. Um, I would have thought it would be some type of action with LeBron James, maybe catching it, going downhill a little bit and scoring like that, or maybe catching it in the post, maybe even a lob to Anthony Davis. But him catching it at the wing like that and taking a tough fadeaway was not in my bingo book. So yeah, I agree. I think JJ is definitely capable of being better. And I think C is a good spot for him this week. We lost 2 games. I don't think we should ever have JJ higher if we're losing 2 games in a week where we have 3.
Yeah, I
Respect.
feel like we're being generous, and I feel like if we went two and
Facts.
one, like some of us hope for this next week, then JJ will likely be in B, even if it's lower in B. So I think that's fair. But yeah, that's the tier list. Great job, guys. Harder this week. Very negative last two games. Not us even being negative, but just all Lakers fans would say it's kind of a negative week. Hopefully next week isn't, and we can be more generous with the tier list. But we're being honest, and the way we break it down is very methodical. So I think it's a very accurate tier list and a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. This is our tier list right now. Obviously, you guys will probably catch this on social media. Alan does a good job of posting it for us. But yeah, I think we're gonna go into our last segment, our hot takes for this upcoming week. Oh, Alan has something. Go ahead.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Check our trailers. So we'll be on Twitter/X. I also been posting on TikTok, which as well, and also I've been trying these YouTube Shorts. We've been getting nearly these 600 views, close to that, on YouTube Shorts, and we gained a couple subscribers from those shorts. So follow us around there if you have it. Like I said, our link tree should be pinned on this page, so check out that. And yeah, you can go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say let's hop into our hot take segment, and then we'll close out the show for this week. But who wants to start today? You know what? I got you guys. I'll start. All right, it's about time I'm due for a good hot take. So here's my hot take going into this week. I think that it's time. What? Okay, bet. I think that Anthony Davis will have a. I've been trying to get this to happen for the last couple weeks. I think Anthony Davis will have a 45 point, 15 plus rebound game. I don't know which game it's going to be. I'm not going to get so specific, but I think he'll have a 45 plus point plus 15 rebound game. Next hot take is I think that DeAndre I can't even say his name. I think that D'Angelo Russell will have 25 points in at least one of these games, and he won't score less than 15 this upcoming week. That's my hot take. That's my hottest take of the week. I think there's no way D'Angelo Russell scores less than 15 points per game this week, shooting at least 40% from three. You know, I'm tripling down on my hot take. It's time to get real. I think D'Angelo Russell he's gonna wake up, he's gonna realize, hey, I'm D'Lo. I'm the same guy who's Mr. Heat check after heat check. I can shoot the three ball. And he's going to gain some type of confidence going into this week. So yeah, that's my hot takes. D'Lo won't score less than 15 points this week. He'll have a 25 plus point game. Anthony Davis will have a 45 point, 15 rebound game. Let's lock it in.
Those are some scorching hot takes. I think D'Lo being six man off the bench is still gonna manage to get no less than 15 all three games. Okay, I'll take that. I'll say I'm not gonna do a take on Austin Reeves. I feel like he's been one of our better players, so it's like, duh. I'll say Dalton Knecht is gonna have at least two 20 point bombs. 20 plus point games. I don't know which teams it's going to be against, but I think Dalton is going to come back into it. I feel like I've been really loving his mentality going into these games. I feel like as long as his confidence that he always has in the shot isn't super wavered, I think he'll have at least two 20 plus games.
Yeah, I like those. Earls are really hot, but we need it. We need D'Lo to find some confidence, get into rhythm. Alex, I'm such a big believer in Dalton. I don't even know if it was a hot take. It kind of is based on the stats because he doesn't have 20, I guess, that much. I mean, he had that 37, but I like yours. I do think it's gonna happen. I got a cool one. This is actually, I think, definitely a hot take from what we've seen. I got Quincy Olivari playing in either the first or second quarter, like indicating that he's like kind of in the rotation for one of the games the next week. And I think what will happen is Gabe will either be out of the rotation or have like a very small injury, or they'll say he's sick, and Quincy will get to play against San Antonio on Wednesday, if I had to guess. But overall, I think he's going to get a chance this week. And I don't think he's going to show us anything, which sucks. But The reason I say that is not because I don't believe in him, just because I think it'll be 2 minutes and then they'll like go a different direction. And people are like, damn, I wish Quincy would have played more. But I think that may happen this week. With the turmoil we've had, we could use some fresh lineups and faces, I think you could say.
For me, I got Austin Reeves averaging 20 points per game uh, from now to our next podcast. So we'll about to see another a lot of 20-point games in these next couple matches between the Suns, Spurs, and OKC.
Yeah, I like the hot takes, guys. And just because I always forget my hot takes, I put them in chat and I pinned them. So if you guys want to type yours out, you don't have to, but you can put them in there. We can pin them and we can look back on it next week. But any more comments, questions, anything like that for this week? All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for stopping by. We had a nice variety of people in the chat today, 16 plus tonight. We appreciate you guys, and we will be streaming here every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time and 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm pretty sure if I did that time right this week.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
did.
let's go. I'm learning my times, guys. Let's go. It's been a struggle, respectfully, but
Thank you guys. Great
yeah.
show. And we'll all be here Tuesday night against the Phoenix Suns on TNT and playback.
Yes, sir. And we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
And as always, it's go Lakers and peace. I feel like I had to
Facts.
say it.